And good morning, Utsada. Good morning and welcome everyone. This is HinduLounge and Utsada. Your lighting is a little bit challenged, but otherwise we are all on live and we are here today. So actually, good morning everyone. This is HinduLounge. Welcome to HinduLounge. This is HinduLounge. HinduLounge is brought to you by HinduPact. HinduPact is the Hindu Policy Research and Advocacy Collective. It is an initiative of World Hindu Council of America or VHPA. Hindu Lounge talks about, or we talk about, contemporary American Hindu issues at Hindu Lounge. And Hindu Lounge is hosted by Utsav Chakrabarti. He is the executive director of Hindu Pact, and I'm Ajay Shah. I am the president of World Hindu Council of America or VHPA. And Utsada, we usually talk about contemporary American Hindu issues, but we do spend time at times. We talk about the special issues that affect Hindus worldwide. So, for example, the condition of Hindus around the world we have talked about in Kashmir, and we have talked about condition of Hindus in Bangladesh, and we talked about condition of Hindus in Pakistan. We have talked about United Nations and Hindus in America. But today we are going to talk about you are in Bengal, you are in Kolkata, and we are going to talk about the condition of Hindus in West Bengal, especially after the kind of, the violence that was unleashed on Hindus. And we have a special guest who is going to join us, who can provide us the on-the-ground reporting. So that I want to tell you why I was a couple of minutes late here today. I was late because Utsada, I was really engrossed in watching Imran Khan live on YouTube because he has this big jalsa going on in Islamabad, and he's trying. He's under a lot of pressure where people want him to basically dethrone him through the confidence motion in the Pakistani parliament. And here Imran Khan was making a case to the people why he should not be kicked out. Utsada, what I found very interesting, and I don't talk about it a lot today, but I heard that speech for about half an hour. And every sentence, and I am not exaggerating, Utsada, every sentence, he made a reference to either Quran or Islam, and or to Riyasat Medina, which is the rule in Medina, which is, from my perspective, so that I have no problem with that. His country, his pitch, whatever it is, right? What I do have a problem is that the same Imran Khan then turns around and criticizes India and Indian politicians for referencing even a Hindu god in their speech. So this is my problem. But so that today is not that topic. So we'll talk about that, and we're also going to talk about Islamophobia resolution at the United Nations that was passed by overwhelming majority. But we'll come to that. So Utsada, with that, welcome, and I hope your meeting with Mamta Didi went well. So how are things?
Well, they went fantastic. Since you have been talking about me meeting Mamta Banerjee for the
Utsada, your
last.
voice is a little muted. I don't know why, but maybe at my end. But go ahead, please keep continuing.
So I'm. I think our guest is here. I don't know if you have
Yeah,
already.
I will let him in. I was waiting for you to introduce him, and then once you introduce him, I'll invite him on
Yeah,
the
we
stage.
can we can let him in, and then we can just mute the put the camera off if you want, because he's
Okay.
waiting
Yeah,
for.
please. Let's put the camera off. Yeah, go ahead. Uh,
Okay.
Devdachi,
So
please turn your camera off for just a minute.
Yeah, yeah.
okay, he's here. Okay, fantastic. So Ajay bhai, since you mentioned that I am. Since you mentioned that for the past four weekends you are expecting that I would meet Mamta
No,
Banerjee.
no. I said Mamta Didi will meet you. I didn't say you will meet Mamta Didi.
Okay,
Please.
so just so you know, I don't have that kind of a connection. If that is disappointing to you, then
Very,
I'm sorry
very
about that.
disappointing.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm not a big person like you are.
no, no.
So
It is
obviously
absolutely it is
I don't have
absolutely
this.
devastating and absolutely disappointing that she has not yet sought your appointment. I have a feeling that you are not you are trying not to meet her, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm such a big personality that I only meet President Biden. That too when he's about to threaten a regime change in another country.
So the on to the program. Tell us about our guest today, and tell us what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, so we have since you wanted to discuss about politics in Bengal and some of the situation, conversations, events that have happened in Bengal over the last many years, and I believe many people in Hindu Pact in America also have a serious desire to understand ground realities of Bengal. We hear about it in news. So I just wanted to introduce a guest today who has been in the thick of things for the last many years. And his name is Devdatta Maji. He's been a social activist working for the Hindu cause for the last 15 years. He has been a supporter of victims of riots, calamities and national emergencies, especially cyclones and flooding. He has helped to bring relief to many people who have done ghar wapsi to Hindu Dharma, actually more than 1,000 of them. And he has rescued about 1,000 people who have faced trafficking through Love Jihad. Uh, he's also a organizer of and a leader of an organization named social organization named Singhabhaini, and he contested in the last assembly, Lok Sabha elections the Chorungi seat
Assembly.
from actually last assembly elections, the Chorungi seats which is a very prestigious seat from down. It's literally like the Times Square of Kolkata. So somebody who stands for election from the Times Square in New York City. So it's a very prestigious seat. He was the BJP candidate. For some reason, in my mind I was thinking he fought in Lok Sabha elections because he was so active
That's
in
the next
campaign.
election.
Yeah, and then he has been. I have been associated with Devdatta and many other people for many years. I used to be very close to Tapan Ghosh, who ran an organization called Hindu Samati, still a very active organization between 2007 to 2015. But then eventually I started focusing on other parts of the world, on other issues. So I slowly, got disconnected. But now that I'm back in India after 5 years, 6 years, just thought of reconnecting back to many of
Absolutely.
my old people.
So
So yeah, he's a true son of the soil and a grassroots activist as you can get. So if you have any questions for Devdutt, please fire away.
And please put the questions on the chat, or you can also, I'll post a link here that you can use to actually join the show live and talk to our guest Devdutt ji and also Utsada. So please, Utsada, go ahead with the questions. I know you have we have identified some really good questions, and let's dive right into it.
Okay, so well, I just wanted to start off asking Dev that to give a background of the situation of Hindus in Bengal. So, uh, just tell us where they stand in terms of social position and how things are over the last couple of years, and then we will go from there. Dev, that what is the situation of Hindus in Bengal at this time?
Well, first of all, namaste to both of you and all our viewers from Bengal. The situation in Bengal, what I can say, like especially right from the time of maybe just before independence, right from 1946, the situation in Bengal is not very good for the Hindus. Like right at the beginning, Bengal faced the partition, and right from that time, Hindus have been in most of the cases in the receiving end. Especially, Hindus have been systematic victims of Islamic expansion and jihad. Now, in the present day, present situation, we have a very, very anti Hindu government functioning in West Bengal, led by Mamata Banerjee. And we all understand that when we have a very anti Hindu government, the whole system, the administration, the police personnel, all are helpless literally to give any sort of support or justice to the Hindus or do anything for the Hindus. I can give you a list and details of criminal or like Islamic atrocities that Hindus have faced in the last 15, 20 years. I can literally read out to you, read it out for the audience. I made a list of it. And in each and every case, we can witness that the police, they are either mute spectators or they are taking side of the Islamists, be it in the regime of the communist government led by Jyoti Basu and Buddhadev Bhattacharya, or by you can see what is happening in Mamta's regime. Mamta Banerjee has crossed all limitations, all barriers, only to appease the Muslims. And maybe I don't know from where she's getting all the money. Maybe she has some international donors who wants to establish Islamic rule in this part of the country, that is West Bengal. And maybe the larger plan is merging Bengal with Islamic Bangladesh. Because the trend that is going on, it is quite evident, it is quite clear that West Bengal is going to be the next Islamic, or you can say a pro-Islamic state with no place and no rights for the Hindus. Yes, Utsav.
So my question is, how did we get there? Because Bengal was, I've talked this about this with Utsada. Bengal, in many ways, is cradle of modern Hindu movement. Ever since the day Bankim Chandra wrote his novel and talked about Vande Mataram, and all the lot of the revolutionaries, lot of the people who are who were instrumental to defining Hindutva and Hindu Dharma and the modern Hindu Dharma. as it stands today have their roots in Bengal. So how did we get from that stage in 150 years to where we are today, or 170 years to where we are today?
Uh, like right from Rishi Bapkim Chandra to Rishi Aurobindo to Swami Vivekananda and all the revolutionists, they all struggled for our beloved motherland in order to free this great country, this great land. Our revolutionaries, they gave their life, they gave their career, they sacrificed their families. But after that, just run up to independence, I think we Hindus, we lost the track. Somewhere we lost the track because very intelligently, very cunningly also, the Islamists, they took over control of the media, to control of the media, education system through the communist, through the communist. Everywhere we can see the communist or the pseudo liberal, pseudo secularists, they are occupying key positions right from the time of independence. Be it Ministry of Law, Ministry of Education, everywhere. So somehow, and in all these places, Hindu voice was throttled. Hindus had no scope to express and demonstrate their agony, their pain. And very cunningly, all the rights of the Hindus were cornered. You can see in the 1950s, law was passed especially for the Hindus, like Hindu Marriage Act, different acts only for the Hindus. Whereas the Muslims, they were free to practice their own civil law according to the Sharia, according to the Sharia. But Sharia also has criminal law that was not imposed upon them. So somewhere we lost it. Our intellectuals, our media people, media persons, somewhere they lost it. We have that strength on the ground. We have it still now, but it all needs some support and some backings from the intellectual level, from the business houses, from the so called powerful people of this country and powerful people living in different parts of this globe. And I think during this period, we lost it. We lost the track. Hindus lost the track. And during this adverse situation, when the government is against us, the state government, I mean, the same state has given maximum number of biplabis, the people who fought for this motherland, maximum people. We have that blood flowing in us, but we just need, you know, some backing, some support from the global Hindus. And once that is there, I think we can again prove that we are having that spirit to fight for this cause, to fight for Hindu Dharma, to fight for our beloved motherland. And in this adverse situation, it is a challenge for each and every Hindu, especially living in West Bengal, to save this, to save our culture from the brutal expansion of Islam backed by Mamata Banerjee's Trinamool Congress government.
So what what happened after the election? Because you fought in the election, and from what the reports that we saw, and Utsada, please chime in. So what happened after the election? We read a lot of reports about the violence against Hindus. A lot of people had to leave their homes. Their houses were destroyed. Women were raped, and is that normal in West Bengal? That kind of
Yeah,
violence?
yeah. like violence is a bit normal over here in Bengal, but like the violence we saw post elections, post election result, right from the day of the result was declared, that is 2nd May 2021. We never saw such violence in our life. We never heard of that also. It reminded us of the direct actions of 1946. Those of us who have read about the 1946, we thought that something similar is happening right deep in the
Uh,
villages and rural areas.
Devdatta, can you tell us what happened in 1946? Because a lot of our audience who is based outside of India may not know what happened in 1946.
Well, in 1946, uh, like right approach to 1946, there was a call for a separate homeland for the Muslims living in United India, that is Pakistan and present-day Bangladesh combined. All the Muslims staying in Akhand Bharat in United India, they demanded for separate homeland for themselves. They clearly said that Islam and the Muslims are totally different in their lifestyle, in their approach, in their thought process from the Hindu Kafirs. They claim that they are Mu'mins, they are pious people, and to perform their religious duties, they need separate homeland. And in 1946, leaders of Muslim League, that is Jinnah and Surawardi, they gave the call of direct action. That is to create mayhem on the Kafirs, on the non-Muslims. They started looting and plundering and killing and raping of innocent and more importantly, ignorant Hindus, their properties, their shops, temples, all were plundered, and totally unprepared persons. Like always, Hindus are always unprepared. They got killed and butchered. In Calcutta, places surrounding Calcutta, and also in present day Bangladesh, which they, when just after partition, it became East Pakistan. In Noakhali, that is a place in Bangladesh, there was huge genocide. Millions and millions of people were under attack. You can see the graph, see the demography of Bangladesh. Crores and crores of Hindus just disappeared from the list. Most of them were forcefully converted. Millions fled Bangladesh. And just like when we see the Kashmir File movie, I must say it is Vivek Agnihotri just, he got this movie made, like he made this movie, and if we see the movie, we can see that history we are seeing. What we are seeing in the movie is just history. 30 years back, only that those things happened. And in that movie, they are saying, you leave, like you convert, or you die, or you leave. And when you leave your women here for us. You leave your girls and women here for us. Same thing happened in Bangladesh. Same thing happened. That is same thing happened. Women were held back. They were tortured. They were raped, and they gave birth to millions and millions of Muslims. This is fact. And this happened, especially started in 1946, and this thing continued and still continuing. In Bangladesh, you can see it is quite, it became quite viral. Like last year, Durga Puja, even previous year, like in 2020, Durga Puja, then Lakshmi Puja, then recently also ISKCON temple was attacked. Regularly, systematically, temples are attacked. Hindus are attacked. Hindu women and girls are forcefully taken away. They are raped. They are forcefully converted. And same thing is happening in present day Pakistan also. Few days back, we were seeing a 5 or 6 year old baby girl. She was given electric shock, and she was forced to recite the kalma. A 5 year old child in present day, it's a shame for all humanity, all human rights activists, that in present day Pakistan, a small child in the age of 5 or 6 years, she is given electric shock, and she is forced to recite, forced to scream the kalma. And maybe yesterday or day before yesterday, a group of children, a group of Hindu children, they, like children in the age of 8 years, 10 years, 12 years, they assembled all those children in the place in Pakistan, and they were motivated or some way or the other forced to recite the kalma and accept Islam. This is happening in this modern era, in this modern time. Then we can well imagine what happened to the Kashmiri Hindus, especially the Kashmiri Pandits, 30 years before, and what happened to we Bengalis who lived in Bangladesh. I'm personally not from Bangladesh. My ancestral home is in Howrah, that is on the western side of the Ganges River, the Ganga River, Hooghly River. But our larger family members who are in Bangladesh, I mean the Hindu Sanatanis who are in Bangladesh, we can imagine what atrocities they faced in the year 1946, 47, and then it continued and still happening.
Yeah. So let me so you kind of brought up the, and so that I'm going to turn it over to you. I'll just ask my last question. While you were speaking, and I had this question that I wanted to ask you, and you kind of alluded to it a little bit. When you watch the Kashmir Files movie, right? And you think of the history of Hindus from Bengal in 1946 and in 1971 again, what is the thought that goes to your mind? How are how are you going to bring the same kind of awareness about the uh, about the plight of the Hindus from you know from Bengal, like like it has been done through the movie Kashmir Files for Kashmiri Hindus?
Look, social media is playing a very important part in awakening and reaching out to the people, awakening the people of the current situation in other parts of the globe. So Hindus are already aware of this. Like what happened with the Kashmiri Hindus in 1989, 1990. That was not the first time. Yes, that was on that in that particular time, at that particular time, the force was much more. It was ultimate. But there were small occasions when they faced the brutal jihad, brutal genocide. Maybe not in a huge proportion, but in small proportion. If they would have taken some lesson from there, from those small atrocities, small jihads, then maybe the fate of Kashmir and Kashmiri Hindus would have been different today. 4 lakh, 5 lakh, maybe more than that, Kashmiri Hindus were thrown out of the Kashmir Valley. They stayed in the refugee camps in Jammu and in Delhi, and they scattered all over the globe, and thousands of them died in those camps. People may find me wrong, but what I believe is in order to protect our culture, our Sanskriti, our dharma, our motherland, and our family, in order to protect these important things, most important things, if the Kashmiri Hindus, maybe only 5,000 from that 5 lakhs would have taken up arms to defend their motherland and dharma, things would have been much, much different. The jihadis, the terrorists, they would have learned a good lesson, and that is what was needed. Because we have seen those terrorists who had killed, brutally killed innocent and ignorant Kashmiri Pandits, Kashmiri Hindus. They shook hands, they sat and had tea with the prime ministers, with the previous prime minister. They they had that opportunity to share dice with important people. This was just like, adding salt to the wounds of the Kashmiri Hindus, Kashmiri Pandits. Those people who killed our people, some prime minister, some political leaders find it very cozy to shake hands with them, to have tea with them. So it is total insult for both Kashmiri Hindus and each and every Hindus living in India and anywhere on earth. Now, our killers, they raped our women, but they enjoyed lavish life during the Congress regime. It is total insult for us. And same thing, same lesson, people of Bangladesh, people of West Bengal must learn that to protect our motherland, to protect our culture, to protect our family members, to protect these things, and may most importantly, protect our honor and dignity, not only personal, but the honor and dignity of our dharma. We must do, we must prepare to do whatever that is necessary.
So that please go ahead with. I know you have a lot of questions as well.
No, no, Ajay, these are very valid questions that you've been asking, and I also was eager to get response on that. But I just wanted to ask more specifically to Devdutt. Uh, you know, most places where there is strong jihadism in place, usually there is a global network of individuals and organizations that are working. So, Mike, I don't know if you heard my question. my, Let me repeat it. Most places where you see a lot of jihadism, whether it is in Kashmir or in Bengal or even in Bangladesh and Pakistan, there's a global network of organizations that usually work together. So my question to you, Devdutt, is what is the network that is there in Bengal, West Bengal? Which are the global organizations or organizations that are operating within India with global
I
presence?
can't hear you.
Ajay bhai, can you hear me?
I
I
can't hear
can hear
you.
you.
So
Yeah. Can you hear me? Devdutt, can you hear me?
Can you
Can
hear
you?
us? I think we are losing his signal.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
can't hear.
Can Can you hear us now? We can hear you. Can you hear us now?
can you hear us? Hello?
No. Probably not.
Maybe
Uh,
Devdutt, you can disconnect and come back. I think there could be some
yeah, I
video
think his signal
video
is very.
buffering.
Uh, let me uh, let me see if I can. Uh,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
he's
I think
back now. I think he's back. Can you hear us, Devdutt? Can you hear us? No, I think we lost him. So that while he reconnects, uh,
I can't hear.
Yeah, I think some problem at his end.
Try
But we are
try
all here,
disconnecting and
and
connecting back.
yeah, please ask him to connect back. And while we are doing that, normally do our two segments at the end, and one is the Hindu good news of the week, and the other is the Hindu phobe of the week, and we also talk about Hindu Seva Charity Act of the week. So let me just while we have this time where Devdatta is disconnecting and reconnecting, let me go, and there was a question Indrani ji asked about the Ukraine, what we are doing in Ukraine and all that. So let me just bring up our Hindu Seva Charity Act of the Week. And I'll just play a little intro music to that, and then we'll talk about the Hindu Seva Charity Act of the Week for this week. So here we go.
मनसा सततं स्मरणीयं मनसा सततं स्मरणीयं वचसा सततं वदनीयं मनसा सततं स्मरणीयं वचसा सततं वदनीयं लोकहितं.
And the Hindu Seva Charity Act of the Week for this week again. We would like you to support one of the four Hindu organizations that we have come across that are helping people in Ukraine. Again, we are not taking any political side here. We know that there are a lot of refugees from Ukraine, and we would like you to go and support one of these four organizations that are doing amazing work. The organizations are Seva International. Seva International has a US a US presence. It's called Seva USA. You can go to the Seva website, Seva USA website, and make a donation. The other organization is BAPS, or which is the Swaminarayan Sanstha. They do amazing work, regardless of the kinds of stones that are thrown at them. Please go and support them. The third one is ISKCON, the Hare Krishna movement. ISKCON, as you know, has been much ridiculed in America through the decades, but they've steadfastly done good work in America and internationally. So please, you can support ISKCON if you'd like to directly make impact on the in on the situation in Ukraine. And the fourth one is Art of Living, or AOL. You can This is the organization founded by Sri Ravi Shankar, and they are doing amazing work over there as well. So please pick one of the four, and we have Devdatta ji back. So let's go back to Devdatta ji and see if you can hear us. So Devdatta, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you,
All
Ajay.
right, perfect. Utsada, over to you to the next for the next question.
Okay, if you can hear me, Devdatta, the
Yes,
question
I can
is.
hear you, Dada.
Okay, perfect. My question was that usually when there is a strong activism in of Islamists in any part of India or in any other part of the world, there is a network of global organizations and nation states that are usually helping them. So, in the case of Bengal, I'm pretty sure that there is a strong global influence and global presence of Islamists in some manner that are helping the Bengali Islamists. Can you shed some more light on it? Are there global networks involved? Are there connections with Bangladeshi Islamist groups involved? Tell us more about it, because you may have a lot of insight.
Yeah, like what I have assessed in all these years is that few organizations in India, like although banned organizations, see me, they are quite operating here in Bengal. Uh, PFI and even they are helping uh, the Muslims in Bengal to do, to expand their strength, to buy properties, build huge madrasas and mosques all over the state of West Bengal. There are many organizations that are functional these days. Like as I told you, CPFI and some organization of Bangladesh. But saying this, we must also say that there are people in West Bengal, they are extremely rich Muslims. They are also supporting and helping the poor people of their community so that that poor person can expand his area, expand, make a big family. This is a war of numbers. They are willing to increase their numbers and decrease our numbers, and also through the system of dawa, dawa, that is invitation to Islam. Dawa is taking place very frequently across the state. People, young minds, young Muslims are trained for dawa. When they are moving in the society, they are trying to convince normal Hindu minds, normal Hindu brains to follow Islamic way of life, Islamic rituals, and ultimately converting them. There is a huge network working like this. Not only violence, not only purchasing properties at higher prices, they are expanding, but they are also using the system of dawa to convince and mold minds of Hindus and converting them to Islam. This is also a key practice that is happening, and huge funds are invested in this for this. And there are people from West Bengal and out of West Bengal who are funding these systems.
So you mentioned that the new avatar of CME, which is a PFI, and its student wing, the CFI, are very active in Bengal as well. Could you go into because PFI and CFI have got support from many organizations in America as well, and this whole during this whole hijab thing that was going on in Karnataka, South Karnataka, PFI and CFI were both playing a critical role in fueling the protests. Did you hear anything on that in Bengal? Was there anything going on in Bengal, or do you foresee similar efforts in Bengal?
Yes, in Bengal also the same issue was picked up by the communist and the students, Islamic movements and all. But it didn't gather much momentum here because like it was so well taken care in Delhi and Karnataka by the Muslims, by the students, that maybe when if they would have faced some more problems there in Karnataka, maybe these guys would have been more active. But so many things are happening in Bengal, like the one that has just happened in Rampur Hat in Birbhum district, and just before that one, I think his name is Anis Khan. He was he died in Howrah district, Amta. So these things are continuously happening over here. So this hijab wala matter, it somehow got didn't gather much momentum here in West Bengal. It they did something, but not that big, because here something is or the other is always happening.
So as there is Ajay, we can show this on the screen, the demographic map of Bengal. It is a very critical situation in terms of demography. There is a collapse of the Hindu population that is happening over the last 10 to 15 years, and there has been a massive increase in. So the map that you see here is the entire map of Bengal. The greener it is, the more the percentage of the Muslim population is. And on the right side, you see the chicken's neck, which is part of Bihar and Bengal, that is right next to Bangladesh. So it's near that area. So my question to you, Devdutt, is that given that every decade the Hindu population continues to fall and the Muslim population continues to grow, and it is a matter of probably another decade before it will reach an irreversible spiral. almost similar to what happened in Lebanon in the 1970s. So, what do you think is going to happen in that period? And yeah, first tell us what do you think is going to happen as Bengal reaches a Lebanon kind of demographic scenario?
Um, Repeat of direct action, but with much, much, much more force and impact. That will only happen. What happened with the Hindus of Lahore and Multan? What happened with Hindus of Noakhali? Same thing will repeat. And this cannot be stopped. If Hindus don't wake up and act like just watching a movie or wishing each other on Durga Puja or wishing each other on Independence Day, won't prove that we are patriots or we are dharmics. In order to save our motherland and save the state of West Bengal and save our Sanskriti and culture, Hindus must be ready to, for the onslaught that is fast approaching us. And not only the brutal onslaught that is fast approaching us, we must be prepared for that, but we must also use our brains and intellect to counter the dawa. Dawa is also very dangerous, Islamic dawa. It is very well planned mechanism, and they are quite successful in this because that is always not in the radar of the intelligence. Our state and nation's intelligence, they try to track and do something where there is much more visible crime. But dawa is not a visible crime. It is very shrewdly operated. So 10 years from now, the you know, it is already very much clear that we are going to face another brutal onslaught, genocide. So common and normal Hindus must be completely prepared for that day or that time, and that there will be trials like this post-war violence, whatever happened. It is like the alarm bell. We have just seen how unprepared common Hindus are, but our neighboring Muslims, like in Kashmir files, we have seen that those who committed those crimes, heinous crimes, they were not aliens. They didn't came from Pakistan, or they didn't came from Afghanistan or Libya, Lebanon, or Iraq or Iran. They were local and neighboring Kashmiris. They only killed their neighboring Hindu Pandits, Kashmiri Pandits. The same thing is happening here. Like in the post-war violence, our neighbors only attacked our people. Those who created or, this violence, this brutality on the BJP Karyakartas, 99.9% of them were Hindus. Those who did this crime, they are not aliens. They are our neighbors. They live beside the house in the same area, same colony, same mohalla, same tehsil. So when they are prepared to attack us, and they are doing it repeatedly, in Kashmir they did. We know the rape incident of Ajmer. So they are always after us, after our life, after our property, after our women. How can we be so foolish that forever we will be unprepared for something that is always happening? So only one remedy is there. We have to be prepared, and preparation will only not do. There must be practice also. Like this post-war violence happened, we have places like I can tell you in Basirat, which is a Muslim majority subdivision. One BJP party office was shut down, but I myself went there maybe on 8th or 9th of May. Within a week, on like after a week of it was shut down, I went there. Still, violence was there going on in the surrounding areas. I went there and I reopened that party office, and it is still functioning. Now it is quite functioning quite well. So we have to give proper reply to those people who are committing this type of atrocities on our people. We have to give strong reply. We cannot depend on the police, especially state police of West Bengal. We cannot depend on them because we have seen police hiding underneath the table. We have seen police officers being killed by these jihadis. We have seen police running away. We have seen police stations being burnt and looted. So we cannot depend on police and just sit back and relax. Yeah, phone is lost, motorcycle is lost. Police can help you. But when Islamic mob comes, I think Hindus should prepare themselves.
So I would, Ajay, do you have any other questions? Otherwise, I would ask the concluding questions. Do you have any thoughts?
No, please go ahead with the concluding question. We are almost at time, so good.
So my concluding question, Devdatta, would be that, you know, do you see that only a political change is going to be enough? You know, a lot of people outside Bengal, a lot of people in other parts of the world, especially Hindus, think that a BJP victory in Bengal will help save the Hindus. I want your opinion, honest opinion. I believe that it will help if BJP wins to bring together people and bring together resources. But what is your scenario that you see over the next 20 years, next 30 years? What's the big picture in your mind?
Or would it be just to extend it, or would it be like Kerala, where the Hindus have concluded that they are better off, somewhere else, right? Not as part of BJP, right?
Mm, Ajay Bhai, Utsavda, like situation or mindset in Bengal is not like that of Kerala. Because in the past election, assembly election, BJP got, I think, 2 crore 30 lakh votes, and maybe 40 lakhs less than 30 or 40 lakh less than the TMC. And TMC used all its card, all its gimmick malpractices to win 2021 election. But BJP got huge vote, 2 crore 30 lakh votes, which is a huge number. So people of Bengal want BJP to come in power in Bengal, and you can say that maybe in the next coming election, result of BJP will be much better. But as like Utsavda asked, if BJP comes to power, is it very important for the Hindus of Bengal for BJP to come in power? I must say yes, it is very important. But saying that, I must also say that even if BJP comes to power, Hindus must have that strength on ground to capitalize on the BJP rule when it comes. Because one thing we have to keep in mind that in West Bengal, we have seen hundreds of atrocities that has happened on Hindus in the past 2 or 3 decades. And some of them, most of them are in Mamata Banerjee's regime, and some of them in the CPM regime. But when BJP comes to power, the Muslims won't sit quietly. They will, like, even if they stop the so-called visible violence, but they will keep working on the ground and under the ground. And they will wait for the right and the right time to again attack Hindu locality and the life of Hindus. Because it is mandatory for them. So even if BJP comes to power, Hindus must always be ready. This is the message. Hindus must always be ready to take them head on. This is a must. And of course, Hindus will have a bit more confidence because of a BJP government in Bengal. But a government will only be able to function well, a BJP government, when Hindus are strong. If we are weak, it will make even the life of the ministers and bureaucrats miserable. And if we are strong, everything will be smooth.
That makes a lot of sense. And Ajay bhai, as you can see, we have heard a grassroots, honest, pragmatic, and somewhat concerning analysis of the ground realities. But one thing I do gather from this conversation is that uh, Hindus in Bengal are not in the same position as Hindus in Kerala. The BJP lost the election by a very, very small margin, and therefore, unlike Kerala, where BJP actually has no chance anytime in the near future, based on what has happened in the past. I'm not saying that it will not change. There is hope, but at the same time, the hope can only be built upon a solid grassroots strength and mindset that is ready to take up the challenge that we are facing. So I think that Devdutt underlined that point as many times as he could, and I think that's the takeaway from our conversation today. That and that's something that it's applicable everywhere, not just in India and everywhere in the world, including in America. If Hindus are strong as a people, as a community, as a society, then other things follow, and political, social, and economic benefits come along with it. So, so that's the takeaway, and I really thank Devdatta for being giving us an honest assessment and a positive,
This was a very, very
concerning but
educational,
positive
very
assessment.
helpful. I mean, this was extremely well put, very well articulated. I could not have been done better. So, thank you very much for being here, and you explained the issues so well and so succinctly. Please don't be a stranger. We would like to invite you many more times as the conditions in Bengal, in West Bengal evolves. But so please do keep us in mind and come to our show.
I'm honored. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Namaste.
Ajayji. Thank you, Utsavda. Thank you for making me a part of this show.
Thank you again. Namaste.
Thank you again.
Namaste. And with that, so there was another news item that I would like to. And by the way, that's I mean, Devdatta is very articulate, speaks very well, and presents the issue in terms that everyone can actually relate to, and that I think I hope that he has a bright future in Bengal politics, because Hindus do need leaders like him if they have to survive and thrive at some point in West Bengal. Okay, so with that, so here is another news item, and let's do some music so we know that we are transitioning from one news item to another. So let me just randomly pick some news items so everyone knows that we are on to a next item. Hey, Utsada, the other news item here is that the United Nations. Remember, we a few weeks ago, we were talking about and we were gathering signatures to legislators, and we got over 1,200 of them for to stop the bill on Islamophobia in United States Senate. This is the bill that was passed by the House unanimously, and then it is forwarded to Senate and it's still pending in Senate. It's in one of the committees in Senate, and all of a sudden we find out that very similar bill not only was presented in the 76th session uh, of the of the United Nations General Assembly, but that bill was passed. And here is the bill. On 15th of March, it passed. Its General Assembly unanimously adopts text on combating Islamophobia, protecting rangeland staff, tackling some of the other stuff, right? Bicycling and other parts, but uh, combating Islamophobia. So that there is no bill that I know in United States that protects Hindu phobia, that protects Buddhist phobia, that protects Sikh phobia, that protects Jain phobia.
Hold on. That protects against Hindu phobia and protects against Sikh phobia.
I mean, yes,
Semantics. Sorry.
No. I'm glad you pointed out. I'm becoming like some of the prominent politicians. I seem to be making a lot of goof ups here. Uh, I one of these days I'm going to end up calling for regime change, which I don't want. I don't want any regime change anywhere. Okay, I just want to let you know. If I ever call for a regime change anywhere, please call me out. I'm okay with even Imran Khan ruling Pakistan. I'm not even asking for regime change there, even by mistake. So yeah, please do call me out. So yeah, I don't know of any bill against combating, for example, combating Hindu phobia, Buddhist phobia, Jain phobia, Sikh phobia, and so India abstained from this. Right, this was a bill introduced by Pakistan. Very and you can people who have not seen this should read this. It says resolution was unanimously adopted, and the Pakistani representative who brought this bill up. I mean, I don't want to go into his history, but he's he was deported. He was, as such, he was he had a diplomatic immunity, but at one point he was charged with beating up his girlfriend and eventually deported, or called back rather, not deported. This is the person representing Pakistan in United Nations, Munir Akram, and he's putting out a bill on Islamophobia, uh, and he even got support from Guyana, which is substantial Hindu population. And I know Indraniji was listening to this, and maybe she can call in or put a text here and opine on it. But you can see that France did not support it. India did not support it. France did not support it because the representative of France noted that Islamophobia has no agreed definition in international law. France support protection of all religions and beliefs. He said, adding that his delegation had proposed a text that endorsed freedom of all religions and beliefs, but obviously that didn't get any traction. So people who want this particular bill, um, they they only want to single out one particular faith and not give the same treatment to everyone. This is no different than Imran Khan in his long speech today, repeating in every sentence the virtues of an Islamic republic, but at the same time calling Hindus fanatics and fundamentalists and any other name that he can think of, any other derogatory name that he can think of, and maligning them for just saying the word of a Hindu god.
So two things I wanted to talk about on this issue. First, I wanted to say that Indrani ji had made a note in our comment section. I also support her perspective. So Indrani ji, if you're still listening, I agree with you on the note that you had given regarding support to whoever we were discussing before. I agree with you. I'm on the same page as you are, Indrani ji. Second thing I wanted to discuss about the United Nations resolution, United Nations adopting the Islamophobia resolution. It is a very good example of unity in numbers and strength in numbers. There are more than 50 Islamic countries in this world. There are many, many more countries with significant Islamic populations, 30, 40% Islamic populations. That makes it close to, almost 100 countries where Muslims have significant political clout. Uh, so you can see that when they use their political muscle at a global level, and interestingly, the language and the tone of the United Nations resolution is very similar to the language and the tone of the resolution that was presented in the U.S. House by Ilan Omar, which shows that there is a Muslim Brotherhood effort initiative at a global level, and Jamaat Islami initiative at a global level, and that shows the reach of these organizations in different countries. And you can see how United Nations can be taken in a direction by sheer strength of numbers, and this is a very good example of that. It must be noted, Ajay Bhai, that during the discussion on this resolution, India actually the Indian representative gave a very impassioned speech about
Yes.
the need to recognize Hindu phobia and Sikh phobia around the world, because that is something that is very prominent, very significant, including in America and other Western countries. So that's very important. And I wanted to make a comment about countries like Guyana and smaller countries supporting. It shows that smaller countries can be browbeaten by countries which have more money and more power, uh, if they have significant Muslim populations. And this is Guyana is a very good example of, and it's very important that we understand that even countries that did not have majority Muslims but had significant Muslim populations did vote in support of this, out of fear. So if there is anything out there, it's not Islamophobia, but it's the other way around that led to the passing of this resolution at the United Nations. And it portends, you know, events that are unfolding in 2022 are really happening so fast that we are seeing a rapid change in the global order, in the world order, uh, and that is going to come. And it's not a good thing that is happening right now. Time will tell.
Absolutely. Good comments. Thank you, Indrani ji, for both your comments. We appreciate it. You bring got a lot of good thoughts, and maybe one of these weeks we should also highlight the uh, Hindus in Caribbean countries in Hindu Lounge. So thank you, Indrani ji. We'll get your guidance on that when there's when we start talking about Caribbean countries and Hindus in Caribbean countries. Usada, with that, I want to uh, bring us to the next part of our show, and that is the Hindu good news of the week. So that I was able to, a lot of times it's difficult to find Hindu good news of the week, but so that I was able to find two for this week. So this must be a really, really good week for Hindus. I got the wrong music for that, didn't I? Where's the right music for that? That needs
I
some.
didn't hear any music. I
You
didn't
didn't
hear
hear the
any.
music. So that I'm disappointed. I had this really good music lined up just to introduce this. So here we go. And also that for the Hindu good news of the week, let me bring to you two for this week. And the two Hindu good news of the week for this week um, are, and I will show you both. And here you can see both of them actually. The first one is so that we are going to at some point we have to do this entire show on this topic. Now, this person his name, who we are going to highlight here. He doesn't know we are going to highlight. We're going to talk about him, and this is a topic that is really important to American Hindus, and that is the liberal. And we are all liberal when it comes to education, when it comes to welfare, when it comes to people. We all want everyone's good, right? It's how we bring about the good to the people is where we differ. So all these labels like conservative and liberals don't really make that much sense. But some extremists had taken over the San Francisco school district. And this entrepreneur, uh, Shiva Tandav, who is from Chennai, actually led the movement which basically led to the replacement of three of the extremist council members. And that is what, and that is the first time in the bastion of American left that a person was able to successfully present an alternative. Now, he claims in this, in an article that I saw in American Kahani, he claims that he is himself a left leaning, and which is fine. I mean, look, we don't take political stand on this show, but the fact that he was able to articulate a position that was pro student and get rid of the extremist, I think that is the Hindu. I highlight this with Soda because that is an example of the positive contribution of Hindus to American life. Your thought or thoughts? You're on mute, Soda. I can't hear you.
Okay, my apologies. Well, I think any contribution is positive, and anything that helps bring extremism down, especially in the really divisive politics that has taken over the school system in the United States, in many parts of US, especially in areas in San Francisco and Bay Area. Anything that can be that can be done to contain that extremism is a good move, and I think it's fantastic to hear that somebody did it. In fact, we should try to reach out to people like Shiv Tandav and congratulate them and empower them to succeed further.
Absolutely. Hey, Utsada, the second Hindu good news of the week, and as I said today, it's like almost like it's pouring because we have two good Hindu good news of the week. And this is something that is interesting because it's so that this to me is somewhat unique. And the Jain Sadhvis in US are releasing a documentary on trafficking. So that is really, in my mind at least, that is unique because that shows that the Hindus and Jains and Sikhs and Buddhists and all the people who are of dharmic uh, belief, who believe in dharmic belief systems, dharmic faiths, are now you know making direct impact on by in the society. I mean, they are not just guiding people spiritually, but they are also making an impact on the social lives. And as in this particular case, a movie that a documentary was released by Sadhvi Siddhali Shri and Sadhvi Anubhuti under the guidance of Acharya Shri Yogesh, who is the founder of Siddhayanta Tirtha in Dallas. And it's a 70-minute documentary. It's being released in 20 theaters across United States starting March 25th, followed by a digital release on April 15th. And it highlights the plight of the women who are trafficked. And the lot of documentaries are made all the time on these kinds of topics, and they're all needed. But the fact that here are the two religious leaders, sadhvis, Jain sadhvis, who are releasing this movie, who are is an indication that they are now make they are trying to make an impact, a positive impact on the social life of Hindus and women around the world. And any thoughts on that, Utsada?
I think it's fantastic. In fact, I was going to tweet this article on from the Hindu Pact Twitter account, because these are some of the you know invisible but amazingly positive efforts that are happening. And I say invisible because not many people get to know about it, and that's why we will be promoting it. But for everybody's good in America, I think it's efforts like these that make people's lives better. So
Absolutely.
absolutely good news.
Yeah. Hey, Utsala, and now, as always, our most anticipated segment of the week, and that is the Hindu phobe of the week.
There is no music, Ajay bhai. There is no music. Nobody can hear it. I cannot hear it.
You cannot hear the music?
No, I have not been able to hear any of your amazing musics today. Amazing being in quotes.
Are you tuning out, or what is going on here?
I don't know if our audience is hearing it.
Uh,
I
I think
maybe somebody
anyone
can
in the
comment.
audience can just type in the text if you can hear this music, because Utsada, maybe it's just Utsada's mind that he's tuning out the music.
No, I have a feeling that most people are not hearing it, Ajay bhai.
All right. Oh, maybe.
Unless it's in a frequency that only your highly tuned mind can. Yeah, see, Indrani ji mentioned no. So
Oh, you know what? My mistake. I had turned it off.
there you go.
How about now?
Okay, now I can hear it.
I'm so
But
sorry
please don't
to.
go back and repeat all the music.
I think we should redo this show and
No,
re-record it with
no,
all the
no,
right
no,
music.
no, please, no.
But
No, no.
I'm so sorry that I disappointed you because I had some really good music lined up today.
I should have actually not said anything about this one either.
Hey, Utsara, I think the suspense is only to a certain extent good. But here is the Hindu phobe of the week, and that is Arvind Kejriwal. Utsada, he is the chief minister of Delhi, a favorite of all the Western, you know, uh, NGOs and Western think tanks and all the people who are, who want a regime change in India. He's their favorite. So, Utsada, why is he the Hindu phobe of the week? I am going to play two clips and then have you opine on what you think about this. Okay, so let me play two clips here, and hopefully you can hear the audio and everything else on this one. Uh, the first one is uh, so both of them are about Arvind Kejriwal talking about Kashmir Files, the movie that we've been talking about. If you don't hear the audio, please do let me know. First, can you see the screen? And if you can, here we go.
कह रहे हैं कश्मीर फाइल्स टैक्स फ्री करो। अरे यूट्यूब पे डाल दो, फ्री फ्री हो जाएगी। टैक्स फ्री क्यों करा रहे हो? इतना ही तुमको शौक है, विवेक अग्निहोत्री को बोलो यूट्यूब पे डाल देगा, सारी पिक्चर फ्री है, सारे जने देख लेंगे एक ही दिन के अंदर। टैक्स फ्री की क्या जरूरत है? कह रहे हैं कश्मीर फाइल्स टैक्स फ्री करो।
So, Utsada, what he's saying for people who don't understand Hindi, what he's saying is that people are saying make Kashmir files tax free, so it becomes more accessible to people, and the people government will not charge tax on it. Now, this is the movie that takes money to make, and the people who are promoters of the movie have already said that this movie will be made. The proceeds from the movie, a large chunk of it will be donated to Kashmiri Pandits. Now, in India, the same week, or pretty much around the same week, when a movie about the cricket victory of India in 1983 has been made tax free, so more people can go and watch India winning a cricket match, World Cup cricket match, but they don't want to make the movie on Kashmir accessible. And he's saying that put the movie on YouTube. Now, look, it takes money to make a movie. It takes money to send to distribute the movie, to display the movie. Putting it on YouTube is not the solution, and making it free. At some point, when the commercial value of the movie has gone down, it can be done. Otherwise, it's much better to take the money and give it to people who are actually the victims of the atrocities that were committed there. And then Utsoda, this is another masterpiece on the movie by Arvind Kejriwal. So let's sorry, Arvind Kejriwal, I said, sorry. The chief minister of Delhi, Arvind Kejriwal. I have to say that again and again because he is, for all people who don't know, these are the kind of these are the kind of Hindu elected representatives that we have elected in India, people in India have elected, and he is called a soft Hindutva proponent. He's talking about Kashmir here. Okay, so please see what he's saying here. This is the second clip, and let's see if I have the right clip up here and if I'm playing the right clip, because there are two of them and they both look very similar.
निर्माण करेंगे आपके साथ मिलके, ये पोस्टर भी नहीं लगवाएंगे झूठी फिल्मों के, और जो भी करना हो कम से कम यार ये पिक्चर का प्रमोशन करना तो बंद करो, ये गंदे लगते हो तुम लोग, अच्छी शोभा नहीं देता आप लोगों को यार, आप अच्छे आदमी हो, कुछ करने आए थे राजनीति में, कहां पिक्चर के पोस्टर और प्रमोशन करने में लगा दिया.
So what he's saying, and I'm going to try my best to translate this. He is saying that we are not going to promote a false narrative, a movie with a false narrative. Then he's saying that, hey, people who are promoting this movie are doing dirty things. You have come to politics to do something good. Why are you here doing dirty things and promoting a false narrative of a movie? Okay. What do you think, Utsada?
Well, first, I think Arvind Kejriwal deserved to be Hindu phobe of the week long time ago.
But people call him a proponent of soft Hindutva.
This is
That is why I said not just Arvind Kejriwal, he's the chief minister of a state where he's being
So the
sold
soft
and
Hindutva
as a
thing-
soft Hindutva proponent.
Yeah, right. So this whole perspective narrative that many political analysts in India and around the world, they use the word, somebody is a soft Hindu. It's basically it shows two things. Number one, that the secular politics is India is so skewed and so distorted that anybody who even uses a Hindu name or ends up in a temple once in his life as a politician is called soft Hindutva. That's how skewed secularism in India has become. So in India, anybody can become soft Hindutva just by going to temple once. And this is the tragedy of secularism in India. The second thing I wanted to say about Arvind Kejriwal is that many people, if you talk to Indians who are passionate about politics on social media and in real world, they often, say Rahul Gandhi was the worst, is the worst, he's going to destroy the country. Let me tell you, in my understanding and in my opinion, one of the most dangerous politicians in India at this point of time for the country's security, for the country's future, is actually Arvind Kejriwal. And if you are somebody who has little understanding of how color revolutions unfolded in small countries around the world, where billion-dollar global NGOs put money in and penetrated the social and the administrative systems of countries, and then completely tore those countries into civil wars and brought regime change, often very, very violently. And if there was anybody who represented that globalist billion-dollar mindset in India, it is Arvind Kejriwal. So be very, very afraid of him. If you think he's better than Rahul Gandhi, I know this is going to become a very controversial statement, Ajay bhai, but I'm going to say it on online today. Arvind Kejriwal is 1,000 times more dangerous politician than Rahul Gandhi or Mamata Banerjee or anybody else.
I don't think it's controversial at all. I think it's absolutely, you're absolutely on the mark, because
in my understanding, he's the worst thing that could have happened to Indian politics. And what you have seen from him is not the worst. Wait till he gains further power as opposition in India slowly, especially the Congress party in India slowly starts falling apart.
Absolutely.
There's going to be a space that is going to be created, and God forbid Arvind Kejriwal starts filling that space. That's going to be a very dark and bad day for the future of India. So having said that, I think it is important that people in India understand that they have the next 10 years, 15 years of India are going to be extremely critical. They have to understand that not everything is going to be perfect. Not everything is going to be as their hopes and aspirations are. But what they have right now in terms of leadership and in terms of their political representation is probably the best that they could have had at this point of
Well,
time
I
in
mean,
their
look,
life.
I mean, when I want to go back a step, and I say that, look, I mean, when someone gets an award like Maxase Award, that there is, there's some thinking behind that, and there's some buildup of a personality that has happened. These are the kinds of projects that take decades to bear fruits. Arvind Kejriwal got a Maxase Award, what, 15 years ago, maybe, or more. And his next step was to enter the uh, anti-corruption movement, and from there he entered the politics, where at one time he had vowed not to enter politics. He entered politics, he created his own political party, and now he's expanding his political party, which is all fine, because we are not taking a political stand here. What we are saying is that, look what he is using politics for. He becomes a chief minister of a state. Now he has the second state uh, in his that his party is has just come to power in, and he is using that power to now deny the genocide of Hindus. So this is, an emergence of a genocide denier that we are witnessing with our own eyes. Why is he doing that? Because in the third state that he will go to, he wants to get the votes from the people who are the deniers of the genocide. And that is at the cost of Hindus who have been victims. Today we heard about Hindus in West Bengal. We have heard about, in this show, we have talked about Hindus in Kashmir, Hindus in Bangladesh, Hindus in Kerala, in other parts of India for last 100 years, what they've gone through. These are the people who are the enablers of that genocide.
Even worse, I think just his association in the global company that he keeps and used to get funding from, at least in the past, uh, that should raise alarm bells for
Absolutely.
everybody. And I am thankful. Maybe it's the karma of the people of India that people like Arvind Kejriwal do not have control of the country yet. I hope
Yeah.
it never happens.
I hope it never happens. With that, Utsada, we come to the end of yet another episode number 95. We are racing towards episode 100. So, Sada, thank you for doing this all the way from India. I cannot imagine how difficult it is for you to be doing this week in and week out, sitting in India, and with all the all the commitments you have in your family commitments and everything else. But you're still committed to this cause, and you're doing this every week. So, thank you very much. I appreciate all that you do for the Hindu cause in America. So, thank you, Sada. And with that, we come to the end of Hindu Lounge today. Hindu Lounge is brought to you by Hindu Pact. Hindu Pact is the policy, research, and advocacy initiative of World Hindu Council of America, or WHPA. Usada is the executive director of Hindu Pact. And I am Ajay Shah. I am the president of World Hindu Council of America, or WHPA. We come live every Sunday on our social media channels, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, every Sunday at 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Pacific, and we talk about contemporary American Hindu issues. And as we close the program for the day, once again, like we do every week, we are going to play a tune that is made just for Hindu Lounge by a group called Desi Bells. I always end up saying Desi Bell, and I have a reason for saying that. And if they're listening, they will know it. But by Desi Bells, Desi Bell, uh, and I want to thank them for doing it again. This time we are playing a pre-recorded tune, because their infrastructure that they are creating the music is kind of undergoing refurbishment right now. So, but we cannot thank them enough, because they've already created almost 50 tunes for this show. So we're just going to play one of the previously recorded tunes from Decibel. So Utsada, thank you again, and Indrani ji, thank you for your active participation today. You always make the show very interesting and interactive. We thank you. Please don't be a stranger, everyone. Thank you, and have a great weekend. And see you next week. Namaste. And here is the tune from our favorite Decibels.